I'm going to start in 2 minutes. We put, if you need to take notes and you don't have a pen or paper over here, during the presentation, we're recording it as well. So please don't, like, phones are off and on so forth like that with a regular, class. And it will be interactive. We'll definitely ask questions. But if we go too much into details, I will we'll skip it and move on because the presentation has a lot of content. So if you start getting sidetracked, we'll just go back and we'll answer it at a different time. Or right after this. And there will be role play right after this that will be hosted by yours truly as well. Again, there's a whole opportunity today.
Next time, just do something.
Sure. Alright guys, well, thank you very much for coming in. Today we're going to talk about time management. Time management, in my opinion, is going to be one of the most crucial skills, if not the most crucial skill that we're going to need in our professional career. What is true is that it's going to help you not only to become a better agent, but actually will help you throughout your career no matter what you do. This is actually true for Yolanda, for design, it's true for Cyril, who has a lot of time management tips and tricks, which are a lot of already included in this presentation. And I think this is something that you're going to take a lot of things out. The first thing is I actually found this really interesting quote, which I really like. So I'm going to give you guys just a few seconds to read it. And basically, it means that productivity is not happening by accident. It's willful. And productivity really happens when it's not the agenda that happens to you, it's not the life that happens to you. It's you who does has a deliberate intent and a deliberate way of actually managing your agenda and your work. With this, I want to talk to you a few seconds about who really worries about time management. Well, those guys really worry about time management all the time. Everybody knows who those guys are? Alright. Those guys are pretty successful. And they worry a lot about time management. Elon Musk is a little crazy, but he does increment of 5 minutes to 5 minutes. He can tell you at the beginning of the day what he's going to be doing at 3:35. He does increment of 5 minutes. Branson actually batched all of his work so that he's active on social media. He actually does what we all do, right? Get distracted by Facebook feed, by Instagram, and so forth. But he has time dedicated to this. So at 11 a.m., he goes and he's going to answer everything on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on and so forth. So he batches work. And Bill Gates also actually having increments of 1 hour to an hour of what he does in his day. So he worries about time management. But you might say, well, this is something only for billionaires or crazy people. Well, this is a quote from the CEO of asset management for JP Morgan. She's not a billionaire, but she's definitely a very successful person. And here's what she thinks about management and time management. She actually thinks that this is the most important thing that she does. As you have more and more stuff piling on, as you have more and more people around you trying to pull you in a different direction, this actually becomes more and more important. And actually, here's some of the institutions that teach us time management. Harvard MBAs teach time management. Those are people who are already super bright, who are already very good. They got to fucking Harvard, right? And yet, this is what they teach at the MBA level: how to manage your time, how to be effective. Same thing for Duke. Same thing for all of actually the MBA programs. They teach you more about how to work rather than actually content. And really, the reality is that every successful person worries about time management and worries about how they manage their time. And I will just make a quick pause here and say that you guys actually have a hard time with time management because you guys are independent. You don't have to do anything, and yet you must do things for them to happen to work. You don't necessarily have the benefit of an office. You don't have the benefit of a boss, even though sometimes people don't make the benefit. It actually has the benefit of accountability, of making sure that we move forward. And so having earned and having gained the skill of time management will benefit independent contractors, will benefit agents more than anybody else, because it will give you the structure that you don't have just by simple virtue of your job. So it's absolutely crucial, even more so for agents than anybody else. And it has benefited me. It has benefited me because speed is important. Time management is all about speed. It's all about going faster than everybody else. Now, if you have wasted just 1 hour a day, and now who feels that they sometimes waste 1 hour a day doing nothing? They know you should be doing something, but they don't quite know what, and they don't really know how it goes. Raise the hand. Alright? We've all wasted 1 hour a day. Now, who feels sometimes they wasted the entire day? I sometimes feel it too. And I have every time management trick in the books, and I still feel the time I fuck up. That's normal. What I try to do is minimizing the fuck up, because things accumulate. 1 hour wasted a day is 365 hours wasted per year. It's 3,000 for 10 years. Do you know what I can do with this amount of time? I can build a whole new company. I can build an entire new venture. I can become a millionaire. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about. And now, we're talking about 1 hour. How often actually do we waste 2 or 3 hours a day? And then you answer that probably almost every day. This is for you. And this, I want to share just a quick story about my life, because you guys have known me always about Olivier from 61, and you don't necessarily know that I've actually done quite a few things before. My first company I started, my first big company, I started when I was 22. When I was 23, my company, which became one of the biggest e-commerce, raised $17 million. We became one of the biggest top 10 e-commerce in Brazil. When I was 25, I became CEO of my own company for the first time. I was a co-founder of the other one. By the time I was 30, I had become a millionaire. I had invested in about 50 different startups. I owned properties, and I was the CEO of this company. Now, the reason time management is important is because of speed. Now, did I get lucky? Yes, absolutely. I was very lucky. I was offered a position very early at a young age because I was at the right time at the right place. However, that never stopped the humongous amount of hours that I had to put in to make sure that this company worked out, make sure that everything worked. And this is how I was able to get there before everybody else, before all of my peers. And it's not a question of bragging, it's just a fact. None of my peers had done this when they were 30 from the people who graduated at the same time I did. And now, it was definitely luck, but time management gave me an amount of speed that everybody else didn't have. And by the way, I was a lot depressed in Brazil, and just so you know, my mom and dad only care about the time that I put on book. That was the only time that they actually seemed to matter. And so the first thing we need to talk about time management. The first thing we need to talk about time management is prioritization. Your priority. If you don't focus, I couldn't find a good quote about this one, so I just made my own. But basically, if you don't focus on what matters, then you'll be focusing on what doesn't matter. You need to focus on what moves the needle, what makes the difference. Once, if you look at your week and you feel that you haven't made any difference, probably you're not focusing on the right thing. But doing this kind of prioritization requires mindfulness, requires a second to stop and think. Every Friday, at the end of my day, I stop and I think about what are the top 3 things that I want to achieve for 2061. Now the thing is, very often, the 3 things that I think are the top priorities, I had to stop and think. They didn't come to me immediately, they were not obvious. I had to stop and think about the context where we were, what we were doing. And that means you actually need to reserve some time. So it actually goes like this. You need to have a goal for the year, an overarching goal. You can have a personal goal, you can have a work goal, but it needs to be an overarching goal. Now, for a lot of you guys who don't want with me, we've actually established this goal, which is like how much we're earning this year, for example. Then, the goal for the week can be 3 goals. 3 small, little things, but that move the needle. And then, there's a simple task. We'll go into details to make sure that this is not just a theoretical part, but actually a practical part. So, the goal should be aggressive, and it should be aggressive but achievable. The goal for the week, it should be making a difference. If it doesn't make a difference in your life, those are the wrong goals to focus on. The task, they only go into 2 categories. Things that you need to get out of the way so you can focus on what's important, or do what's important. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that we all have things that we must do, and that's completely fine. The thing that you must do, they need to be done, and then you need to make sure you're focused on what's important. And I actually have examples. Goal for the year. I want to make $100,000 in real estate. That's a goal for the year, right? Putting the goal for tomorrow is not going to happen. But the goal for the week, I need to close 1 rental, I need to get 1 new sales lead, and I need to build an investor presentation. This example I actually built in mind with one of our agents. We have an agent called Grinda who wants to work with investors. Well, his goal is to work with investors. Right now, he's going to a lot of investor meetings. Well, that's fantastic. But in order to be successful, he actually needs to have something to present to them. So one of his goals for the week is to build an investor presentation. The task is follow up with listing agent about an offer, perhaps one about the rental, organizing 3 showings for a new client, fantastic, search for investment properties, and sign up for an investor class. Now, those things are what you need to get out of the way because you must do it to achieve this goal. And those things are basically what is going to enable you to do the presentation. To work with. To be clear, your priorities is not all that you do. It's what you must do. At the end of the day. If you set out to do a plan, your day doesn't stop until you've achieved that plan. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't do anything else. You have, there's things that happens all the time. There's a new lead, there's a new text message, there's an emergency, there's a lead on my closing. Absolutely, but if you set out to do a task, you need to complete this task. Common mistakes, making the goal for the year too big, setting yourself up for failure with disappointment. If you make $20,000, if you've been in real estate for 2 years now, and last year you made $20,000, and your plan for this year is to make $200,000, I have bad news. It's probably not going to happen. You're going to set yourself for disappointment. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't grow, doesn't mean that your goal shouldn't be aggressive, but it needs to be realistic, it should be approachable. Confusing tasks with goals. Priorities for the week should not be tasks. It shouldn't be like setting up 3 appointments, or it shouldn't be just following up, it should be something that's simple. It needs to be something that's actually tangible and actually moves the needle. Task of the day, and this is why I tend to limit the task of the day to 5. It's because it's very, very easy to add 100,000 little unconsequential tasks that don't really matter, and you just feel good about checking off the checklist. And at the end of the day, you don't really move the needle. So those are some of the common mistakes that you have. I use this on a weekly basis, every Friday, and I use this on a daily basis for my tasks for the next day. For example, for today, my task was making sure that the presentation was finished already. That was one of the tasks. One of the goals was to give the presentation. Today, Wednesday, I will have to achieve one of the goals and one of the tasks. Dirty little secret. What really moves the needle is rarely what you like to do. Now I have it's a little bit of bad news, but it's a reality for everybody's job. Things that will move the needle most is not your first instinct. And I will give you my personal example. I love taking care of products. I like working on the new pages of the websites. I like building new features. That's what I really like to do on a daily basis. It won't matter if the company or 611. We already have a lot of really cool features. We already have a lot of things. We need to focus on sales training, for example, and we need to focus on other priorities. So in order to make sure that I do what needs to be done, I make sure that I think about what are my priorities, what needs to be done, and then I do it. If I were not thinking about the priorities, I would still do my product because this is what I like to do. So I would want to do that. And this is a reality for all of us. There are things that we prefer, that are quick and easy, that would give us a sense of accomplishment, that unfortunately doesn't always move the needle because you haven't mastered that skill. I will certainly said lead generation, door knocking, cold calling, all of those things that probably make you uncomfortable, probably are hard, but I'm guessing on the lead generation side, if you don't have a strong lead generation, after a year or two, well, when you look back, you say like, oh, I should have really done that. Well, yeah, but the only way that you can do it on a day-to-day basis is if you stop and think about what matters and then do it. So that's all about prioritization. It is not meant to be the most simple, but it is meant to be the most effective. And another thing, when you complete a very hard task, the sense of accomplishment that you get from this is better than all of the quick wins that can have. Another thing that goes into this category is training. Who here has read sales books? Alright? Most of you. Who here has enjoyed reading sales books? Alright, two, three of you, but clear elementary. I personally don't like reading sales books. I often feel that the author is very pompous and he keeps on having to remind us how successful it is. It's just a little tiring. However, the content of it is gold. And so I have to do it, and I have in my agenda to do it. So I do it. But it's what brings us here is what we move the needle. So training is a very good example of something that we don't necessarily like to do, but we need to. The key is consistency. And we're going to talk more about consistency and how you can achieve that consistency. But doing it once, the prioritization is very easy. I am actually a little submissive when we walk out of here. Most of you guys are going to do the 1 goal for the year, 3 goals for the week, and 5 goals for the task. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be doing this like almost immediately. So a couple of you guys taking pictures, etc. The key is to do it all year long, and that's very, very difficult because it requires discipline. But that's the only way that it works, right? Doing lead generation for 1 day doesn't matter. Doing door knocking for 1 day doesn't matter. Training for 1 day is nice, but doesn't matter. So it becomes all about planning. When you go into planning, this is something that I really like. And you see it from Stephen King. Everybody knows who Stephen King is? Pretty famous author. He's actually the most prolific author there is. So that's really cool. And I like this quote for 2 reasons. One of them is amateurs. I'm just sitting there waiting for inspiration, and the rest of us just get up and go to work. What I like about it, it works in two ways for us. It works about, hey, I'll just wait for a lead. I'll just wait for the good lead. The lead that is already ready is the one that comes with a bow tie, that already knows the property, already has the money, and is dying to work with you because you've never heard of real estate agent in Miami. Now, there's this one, there's this. And then there is also the story about motivation. Who here has already heard a rousing speech or read something and just got very, very motivated, but afterwards didn't quite follow through? Did it happen to anybody? Violetta, to Misha, etc.? To everyone, right? Have you guys ever heard the motivational speak of Arnold Schwarzenegger? If you haven't, it's awesome. He's really, his life story is really, really cool. But after you hear it, it kind of flickers. And that's normal, because the motivation is only good to get you started. And by the way, I took this from Maria, so we'll have to thank her. Motivation is only good to get started. The problem is motivation, that it comes and goes, but the bills keeps on coming, right? You still have to pay rent at the end of the end of the month. So you still have to pay the electric bills, the baby bills, the school, the thing, everything. So when motivation fails you, planning will save you. That's very, very important. So if you are an agent and you hope that you will be motivated 365 a day, and that's what keeps you going, I have bad news for you. You're not going to be motivated all year long. Sometimes it's gonna suck. For example, including but not limited to a really big fall through. The sellers and the buyer decide to back out. Think about you, Misha. We had the deal. Everything was locked, and suddenly there is a unexpected lien on the house. The buyer is gonna back out, and then you're gonna feel in the dumps. It's normal. The life of a real estate agent is the life of a roller coaster. Everybody here either has experienced it or will experience it. I don't want to dismotivate you guys at all. It's just a reality. What I want to do is give you the keys as to when things are shitty, how to keep on pushing through, how to still be effective. And you do this with planning. So planning one-on-one, not one-on-one, but one-on-one. There's different kind of planning. And this, by the way, I use this personally myself all the time. So for example, the first thing is pillars. Pillars, you're probably not familiar with this term. It's basically things that anchor your week and your schedule. They are rituals that you do, that you will do no matter what, whether it rains, whether you're on vacation or you're not, it doesn't matter. You're gonna do them. Those pillars basically not only helps you to build towards your goal, but they also have a very strong psychological effect, which is they put you in the zone, they put you in the game mode. My pillars are the following, and it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to do them. It's the weekly update on Monday, which I'm sure all of you guys view on YouTube diligently every Monday. There is a Friday wins, which is something we do at the office, so like everybody share their wins, and it's a one-on-ones on Tuesday. I will do them no matter what. I'm on a fucking plane, I'll do them, I don't care. And this is actually not only, of course, to help give transparency for the company, but it's also a way for me to anchor my week and make sure that everything is done and works well. Recurring tasks. It's recurring tasks that can be done daily and weekly. But if they're not contained, they'll suck up your time. Anybody want to know what I'm talking about here? Anybody wants to give me an example that is not Maria or Tim or people who's helped me build this presentation? What are some of the tasks that you do all day that if you don't really contain them, they will take all of your day, all your day? Could be looking at investment property, that is definitely. Something that typically garners a lot of attention. Something I can guarantee that you use all day long, all the time. Your phone. Alright, your phone, particularly your emails, particularly your follow-up, and particularly your social media. Those things if you don't actually contain them to a certain batch, they will take up your entire day. You will feel while you're doing it that you're being productive. You will feel like while you're doing it that you're achieving something, but probably doesn't really matter. And restarting, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit, but restarting a new routine, restarting something new takes a lot more time than batching. We'll talk about batching. And then focus time. Focus time is when you need to get shit done. You need to get shit done and you don't like it, because this is typically, otherwise you would have already done it, and it's going to take a few hours and you need to focus. Those are times where you block in your agenda, you don't take new leads, you don't do showings, you just block it and say, this is the time that I need to focus on this. Not a time for interacting with your friends, not a time for just focus time. So if you follow those three things when you're planning, you're going to get shit done. With this, here is an example. Here's a few examples. Pillars, Monday morning coffee planning. So every month, let's say that every Monday, you want to grab your coffee, the first thing you do, and you sit on your porch, you go to a Starbucks, it doesn't really matter, and you start your week. On Thursday, blast for the past. This is when you do your follow-ups. And Sunday, ice cream review. We're going to talk a little bit about why ice cream, why coffee, and on and so forth. But it's basically a ritualization of the events so that you keep on doing it and you're happy when you're doing it, and it helps you anchor yourself. Recurring task, for example, email answering, social media, showing organization, and recommendation. If you do recommendation all throughout the day, as Alan has pointed out, you can just do that all day long. Now, you will not have achieved a lot, but you can do that all day long. Follow-ups on pending contracts and so forth. Focus time, for example, an investor presentation, a listing appointment that you're preparing for, updating your profile. This is actually a great one, because I know I've struggled with a lot of you guys to update your public profile online, because we never really sat down to do it. Like, okay, we know we need to do it, but we never sat down. Focus time, right there. Blocked in my agenda. I'm going to do this from that time to that time. The importance of rituals. Rituals helps tell your body that the situation has changed, that it's time to focus. Anybody do sports here? All right, cool. You guys follow? Have you guys tell me of a sport that you see, that you watch from time to time? Any sport. I feel so confident that I'm going to get it right. That any sport that you guys want. Football. Tennis. Perfect. Tennis. I really. Did you guys ever notice, for example, at tennis, for the few of you who have seen it, then I'll move on to things that, as the two footballs that might be more popular, unfortunately, that before serving, the player keeps on doing the same thing. For example, for Nadal, he touches his nose, his left ear, his right ear, every single time, every single time. Then, yeah, and he's short, but I actually had a video of this initially, but it was complicated to show. What about football? Have you never, particularly American football, have you never ever noticed that they actually do a ritual every time before they start a new play? Yes, and the reason for this is they know something that we don't always do in the business world, is that rituals put your body at ease, makes you feel, okay, we're going to be focused on something, we're going to be doing, and doing it over and over really helps you relax. And particularly if you work from home, having something that starts your day and something that finishes your day is very, very helpful to get your body to know when to focus, when it's playtime, when it's not playtime. It sounds it sounds easy. It's not, but it absolutely works. And on top of that, I often suggest people to do this around things that they really like. So, for example, coffee for me in the morning. Monday morning, when I start my day, I will start with a coffee. I don't want to hear any of the problems that I know are waiting for me before I had my coffee, because first I start with coffee, then I go with my morning plan, with my planning. I'm now going to know everything I'm going to do that day, and then I start. Before that, I don't start. My body doesn't know that we're starting. Same thing at the end of the week. Do a review. Okay, a little ritual over a sweet, over something that you like. If you've done well, then pat yourself on the back, and actually this is definitely part of it. If you've done well and you've achieved your 3 goals that you've set out, pat yourself on the back. You did a good job. This is really, really good. If you haven't done the 3 things that you set out to do, guess what you need to do? Keep on going until you finish. So the importance of rituals. Does this make sense? Is there any question, any particular question on this? No? Everybody got it? Everybody just knocked it out of the park. All right. Fair enough. Well, common misconception: multitasking. Multitasking was super popular at a time. When I was in college, everybody was bragging at how well they could multitask. Well, actually, biologically speaking, you cannot multitask. It doesn't exist. You cannot think about 2 things at the same time. You can shift from one thing to the other very, very rapidly, but you cannot think about 2 things at the same time. So the key is to focus. I'm going to give an example afterwards of how multitasking actually really slows you down, but also how batching could help. Multitasking slows you down because you keep on switching from one task to another. Each task requires a little bit of a setup time, a refocusing period. If you keep on switching from one thing to another, here is what's going to happen. You're going to do all of your tasks slower and with less quality. So if you multitask, basically what you're doing is you're doing a worse job much slower. It doesn't make sense at all. Prime example: if you're checking your phone while instead of paying attention to the training, like right now, checking social media while answering emails. I do this. Fucking mistake, but it happens. But this is definitely a mistake. If you do your email, just do your emails. Save some time to do social media afterwards. Do batch some time to do it. You like it, you do it. It's fine, but do it afterwards. Extreme failure. Taking a new lead while you're doing a showing. Now, here's what's going to happen. Take the new lead. Hey, sorry man, I can't talk right now. I'm busy doing a showing. You're never going to talk to that lead again. And now the guy you're doing a showing with say like, oh, I guess I'm not a priority, so I'm not worried. I'm not going to close with that guy. That's a very, very good example of multitasking goes wrong because you took time to schedule that appointment. You took time to do the showing. You drove there, and now you're losing it because you decided to try to optimize your time. That's not optimization. That's actually set up for failure. With this, batching is huge. Everybody knows what batching is? No? Great. Thank you, Violetta, for honesty, because I actually don't think that a lot of you guys know what batching is. What batching is actually accumulating things that can be done throughout the day and actually condense it to very few hours. So I will give you the example. Who here? So we've all sent recommendation, right? How long does it take you typically to send a recommendation between the first phone call and the next recommendation? On average, 10 minutes, 30 minutes? Did it ever happen that you had something else to do and you needed to delay it for like 3 hours? Was that okay? Right, it did nothing bad happen as long as you told the client, like, hey, I'm going to be sending you this in 3 hours, in 2 hours. They're typically okay, like, hey, we're gonna talk about the follow-up this afternoon at 5. I'll send you the recommendation at 3. No problem. You can set this up to. Furthermore, whenever you had emails with, for example, closing agents or title companies, whether you answer immediately or 2 hours later, does it make a really big difference? Like really 99% of the time? Was there ever an email that you like, if you hadn't reply, if you needed to reply within 1 second? Like the reality is that most of the tasks that can be delayed by 3 hours should be batched. So what does that mean? It means that instead of jumping in the morning and checking your emails, you don't do that. You actually go and do the work that you had decided is the most important work right now, and you separate the time to do follow-up, to do emails, to do social media, whatever it is that can be delayed 3 hours, and you do it and only that during those hours. So I'll give you my example. Morning, I come in, I don't open my emails. I know I have 90 emails waiting for me. I know, but I also know that if instead of answering them at 10 a.m., I'm going to be answering them at noon, it won't make a difference. So I'm going to answer them, all of them, and I'm just going to be doing email from noon to 2 p.m. I'm not accepting meetings at that time. I'm not doing something else at that time. I'm just doing emails. And then I finish my emails, and then I'm going to move on to something else. I'm going to be working instead of just attending my phone. So this works really, really well for the life of a realtor because there's a lot of tasks that can be batched. And we're going to talk a little bit because I wanted to give you something, a few tips that are actually really practical for you guys to add, which can include a lot of the things that you can actually batch. If it's in the agenda, by the way, you're much more likely to do it. So if you put in your agenda that today you're going to be focusing on your profile of your real estate profile, and you're going to be doing LinkedIn, and you're going to be doing Upnest and whatnot, you're much more likely to do it than just hoping that eventually the fancy will strike you to do it. One thing. Prioritization and planning goes hand in hand. You need to set some time to do the prioritization. So actually, I would highly recommend that first thing Monday morning is planning your priority for the week. And save time each day to make sure that you know what are the big tasks that you need next day. Batch emails. You don't have to answer emails immediately, particularly if the person sent you an email instead of a text. People are not expecting to have an immediate recommendation can be batched as well. You take all of the recommendations needed to do that day, you batch them together, you do them one after the other. Doing one recommendation can last about 15 to 30 minutes. Doing two recommendations between 20 and 40. If you're doing, and on and so forth. But if you do one recommendation, 15 to 30 minutes, then you take a break, you do other things, and you come back, because you need to reset, you need to have your computer, you need to log in, you need to check, and on and so forth. It's 15 to 30 minutes again. You just wasted some more time. If you did both at the same time, go a lot faster. Block time for things that takes a long time. So block time for things that take a long time. Okay, well, block time, focus time, time blocking for networking, for training, for admin, for things that needs to be done that will take longer. Put it in your agenda. Because this is the time that I'm going to be dedicated to coming to a lunch and learn. You put it in your agenda. This is the time. I'm not going to do showing. I'm not going to take new clients at that time. That's what I'm going to do. Build rituals. Build the rituals over things that you like. Sweets, coffee, something that makes it easy for you to start the day, to start getting engaged. And also, plan to break during the day. I don't want to make this issue and make it seem you need to work like a workhorse every day, every single minute. Don't talk to your friends. Don't do it. That's not what I'm talking about. That's the contrary of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is plan your day so you have free times to do things that that is not necessarily work. So just so you're being efficient with your time and very deliberate with your time. Being deliberate is a key operating word here. I know how I'm going to spend my time, and I know that it's going to move the needle. That's what it's all about. Taking breaks. I'm not telling you don't ever check social media. Do what Richard Branson does. Like save time. Like, hey, this is going to be my time to fuck around on social media. Like, I like it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it all the time, and I'm not going to really take some of my valuable work time. Time allocation. This is definitely a key, and I've tried to tailor this to Home 61 as much as I could, and with giving practical tips. This time allocation needs to be done based on your reality. There's a few truths that we want to escape. So let's burst the bubble right now. There is no substitute for hard work. A lot of people like to tell me you should be working smarter, not harder. Well, that's fucking yes, you should work smart. Of course. But people think that not working harder part means you don't need to work. You don't need to put hours. You don't need to work hard. That's not true. What that quote actually means that you shouldn't be putting inefficient hours, but actually you still have to put in the hours. Here's a few things. Anybody have read Outliers here? Great book. If you haven't read Outliers, great book. it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. The reason Tiger Woods was an expert when he was so young is because he started doing golf 3 to 4 hours a day when he was 2. So of course he put in his 10,000 hours a lot faster than most people. 10,000 hours, if you do it, 10 hours a week, you'll never make it. You'll never make it to 10 hours, you'll die before. So the question is, how do you get to 10,000 hours to become an expert? Well, on top of that, I have bad news. It's not 10,000 hours just sitting on your ass and thinking about real estate. It actually needs to be deliberate. It needs to be thought about. It needs to be you actually have to have a purpose during hours for it to work. If you work less than 20 hours, you won't make money in real estate. I know a lot of people hope that this can be a part-time gig and you can do it on the side and it's going to be fine, but if you don't put in 20 hours, it won't work. If you put less than 40 hours a week, probably not going to grow. You're going to do well. It's going to be right there. You're going to make some money, 20, 50, somewhere around there. Nice, but it's not going to be the 200K that everybody's kind of hoping for. Very successful agents, they work 60 to 100 to 80 hours. They put in more work. Now, here's kind of like this dirty little secret that people don't like to acknowledge, is that very successful agents, they don't work less, they work more. Now, you probably have a lifestyle that you really, really like, right? They have the nice cars, they have the nice house, they have the nice boat, all those things. That's absolutely true. But they work a lot for it. The only difference is that they get to choose how they spend their work hours. So here is the unfortunate, is that sometimes you need to do cold calling. They probably don't do cold calling anymore, but they definitely do a lot of work. It just happens that they can now choose what kind of work they want because they delegated the work that they don't want to other people, but they say work. I know for a fact that there is one person who puts more hours than I do. I'm a workhorse. I put in a lot of hours. Not always as efficient as I'd like to be, but I put in a lot of hours to this. I was working on this. I took my 5 a.m. flight this morning, and I was working on this throughout 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. to do this. I don't care. I love to do my work. This is what I do. But Dora Puig, who's like a #1 agent in Miami, she puts in more hours than I do. Okay? She works all the time. That's a reality. And she closed like 120 million last year. But put in a lot of hours. This is something I want to talk about a little bit because time allocation, if you're going to do time allocation, you need to know what is actually part of your allocated time. What do you need to do? And a lot of the thing we assume and we all know, showing organization, taking care of showings, doing the walkthrough, opening doors, being physically there takes a crap ton of time. Negotiation. Reality is a negotiation probably a lot less than we expected when we first started the job. I'm guessing that very often when you call the listing agent, you say, hey, what would be the price? The listing agent immediately offers you what price the property will go for. That has been my experience all the time. Active client nurturing. Active client nurturing meaning your active pipeline, the client that you're working with and people that you have. Database nurturing is also a form of lead generation, but basically who you worked with in the past is one of your best channels or the prime channels of who will become your future clients. Prospecting, training. That part is very, very important. We're going to go back to this part because very often we don't think about this part, but it is key. Rule of thumbs to always be closing. So time allocation also depends on your active pipeline. Just so you know, I've built it for Home 61 because we also generate a lot of lead on and so forth. But other schools of thought also have different ways where they say you should lead generate all the time, no matter what, because you need to keep maintaining your own channels, and definitely that's true. But also time allocation will change a little bit between training, between lead gen and so forth. So you need to close consistently to grow. Let me tell you something that I've known for perhaps a little while, but we might not know at the table. But every top agent that we have at the company closed 10 out of 12 months. And now it doesn't mean that they close a sale every month. It doesn't mean that they do only one transaction on the month that they close. Sometimes they close five transactions in a single month. Sometimes they close very small deals. Sometimes they're big. But what is really a differentiator is that they close all the time. And that's because they have a pipeline that's always full. And in order to close consistently, you need to have at least 5 active clients at any given time. If you have 5 active clients, you're going to close. I've actually successfully predicted on the last 3 one-on-one that I've had last month, all agents that didn't necessarily have a lot of business before, they told me I have 5 active agents. I'm like, you're going to close. And it has actually rung through. I think it rang through for Eva, it rang through for Julieta, it rang through also for April. All of them had 5 active clients. I said, I don't know who they are, what they do, if they're rental or they're sell, it doesn't matter. You have 5 active clients, you're going to close. Rule of thumb. Now, how many of those you're going to close, you definitely can have an impact, and we're definitely going to strive to improve. But 5 active clients, you're going to close. Definition of an active client, just to make sure that we're clear. It's a client who will make an offer in the next 30 days with or without you, and that you are interacting with. They pick up your phone call, you text, you're working with them. That's an active client. So, if you want a little rule of thumb, if you have 0 clients, might be time to be prospecting. If you have 1 client, you should probably be spending 80% of your time being prospecting. In any case, what else are you doing? And on and so forth. When you have 5 clients, then you should be more picky. You should be opportunistic. You shouldn't, let's say that you have, right now in your pipeline 5 sales at $300K. Don't take a rental at $2,000. You're not going to pay attention, and it's not going to add to your pipeline. Be opportunistic. Take either clients that are very easy to close because they come from referrals, or take clients that elevates your pipeline. That's basically how you do it, and that's a good kind of like little rule of thumb. You have 5 clients you're going to close, and if you have the opportunity to improve your pipeline, that's when you take it. Time allocation on a 40-hour schedule. I took 40 hours as something that's pretty manageable. This is what it could look like. I also made it if you have 4 active clients, and this is something that would make. Now, it was pointed out to me that the showing organization 6 hours was probably on the heavy side, and everything that's not on the showing organization you can definitely put in the add it to the prospecting. Completely fine. Remember, this is kind of just an idea of how it should look like. It doesn't need to be applied one-to-one. So, showing organization, walkthrough. Now, showing walkthrough, please keep in mind that I'm also counting the amount of time that you have to drive there, the amount of time you have to come back. Those are part of our reality. We don't teleport to where we have to go. It's definitely a big part of our time is driving around. Contract creation, active clients nurturing, database nurturing. Database nurturing, this is definitely, by the way, prospecting and database nurturing. Kind of the same thing, definitely this one falls in this category. I wanted to point it out because so many of our agents have already closed 50 plus leads, and yet don't necessarily follow up with clients that they already closed with, don't necessarily think about clients that will definitely refer them new clients. It's a very big part. It's something that should happen all the time. The importance of training. Right. This part is something that's very, very close to my heart. I'll pass you. I'll pass you. There you go. Nice bag. All right. The importance of training. This is actually something that's very, very close to my heart because, contrary to popular belief, sales is not an art. It's a science. And thank God it is a science. I know a lot of people feel that because they're nice or they're likable, they're going to be good salespeople. That is not true. A lot of very good salespeople are actually not likable, but they're very good at what they do. There is tons of literature about sales. There's tons of science about sales. Tons of ways to make it work. But it is not innate. Who here was kind of like went to their first listing presentation and kind of felt that they were not prepared enough. The first listing presentation you've ever had. I think that's true for everyone, right? And you went there and you're like, oh shit, I just got like hit in the face like a truck because I look like I didn't know. That's normal. It's not innate. And then we kind of think like in real estate, like I'm gonna walk in and suddenly I'm gonna know about it. But you don't. You don't, you cannot. And there's so many things to know. Investors, neighborhood, listing presentation, how to do a good welcome call. There's so many things that needs to be done. Without training, without sharpening your tool, you'll never get there. Learning on the job is the worst way to train. So I know a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm just going to get clients and eventually I'll get it. Well, no, because you'll repeat the same mistake over and over and over without necessarily realizing you are doing a mistake. If you have nobody to brainstorm, like, how are you going to even think that you might be doing a mistake? The simple answer that you will get to is, oh, the client was bad. Well, yeah, but wait, we distribute leads to everyone and your conversion rate is 3 times worse than everybody else. So perhaps it's not the client. Maybe we can do something about it. Because training really matters. That's another thing. We probably, everybody in this room actually has closed deals. Even our newest agents, Lucio and Fernando have already closed a few deals. So we kind of know how real estate works, right? You meet a client, you do a showing, you do a contract, and it goes. And yet, this is not enough. There's still training to be done. Pro athletes absolutely know how to play their game. They're very good at it, actually. But they keep on training all the time because they keep on training. Successful people are the people who read the most about business, who read the most because they want to have an edge, they want to be in front, they want to know the newest thing. They're the one who trains the most. And it's not a surprise. Mark Zuckerberg reads a ton of books. All of the successful people you know train. It's as simple as that. So if you're not training, probably something to consider. And training is simply a part of every single job. Who actually here has attended a class or read a training book recently? All right. Close the sale, just proved. I know Carmen has just started, but I know that you already have a lot of experience. Maria also just did a class. I just read a book on sale, and it's boring, but I'm still reading it. Training is part of the job, and now the good news is that there is a different form of training. One of them is taking a class or doing a class like on time management, and you guys are doing this right now. Congratulations! It's very good. Books, there is a ton of way. Here's a few that I've actually recommend. Sales Simplified, I really like it for sales because it doesn't matter if it's real estate or not real estate, but it talks a ton about all of the things you need to do. It talks about time management. It talks like virtually everything. If you started as an agent, you should read this book. It never splits the difference. Great way to negotiate. Has the power of habits. Great for time management. Has a lot of tidbits on like how successful people organize their self. 50 scientific ways to be more perceived. That's a book I'm actually reading right now, and it has some really cool tidbits. It's a little boring, but it's a little tidbit. YouTube. I like the Charisma on Demand. Reza, our channel. Gary Vee. Now Gary Vee is more of a motivational speaker, but people tend to really like his shit, so I definitely encourage you to do it. And mentorship. So, and this is something that I want to talk about for a second. Is Maria, Tim, they're team leaders, Carlos, team leaders. This is the mentorship that we're offering here at Home 61 because we know the importance of all of this. And having a mentor and having somebody who can help you and can support you is absolutely key. And it's not, and even if you're an experienced agent, it's not about, oh, I'm working for someone. No. It's about, I have somebody I can rely on who can brainstorm with me, who can think about it, and help me go make it work and go through it. And paid advisors. This is actually what I do. I have an advisor. I like to believe I had everything figured out, but I actually have an advisor. Actually, every successful people I know have advisors. Have people there's a new guy on $1 Million Listing who worked for Triple Mint. He pays an advisor too. He is actually on, he actually has mentorship at Triple Mint. I know the company intimately, and he has an advisory mentorship, and he still pays classes to have a mentor that comes back to him every week, that he pays out of his own pocket. Mentorship is huge. Take advantage of it. Time optimization. Pros never walk on the field. 1 second. Any question on this before I move on? I know this is very dense. There's a lot of things. Training is absolutely key. If you have any question, don't hesitate to stop. I'm trying to give as many concrete examples as I can so that it's applicable, but I do know that a lot of this might be theoretical. So if you wonder how it applies to you, don't hesitate. Time optimization. Pros never walk out on the field without a plan. Okay, I'm going to go back to my sports fan. What would happen if a sports team walked into the court or walked in on the field and didn't have a plan? What was going to happen? They all know how to play the game. They all work together. They kind of know what happened. So what will happen? They won't be effective. They're going to get crushed. They're going to get crushed. Even individualistic sports like tennis, there is always a game plan that you try to apply. Sometimes you need to readjust, but there's always a game plan. And this needs to be a reality for you as well. I never walk into a phone call without knowing exactly what I want and what I'm going to say. And that's why, by the way, I don't do one-on-ones too. I do a lot of one-on-ones with you, and there's always subjects that are ready and available to talk to. I don't make it up on the spot. I actually walk in knowing what I'm going to say, and you should too. It's going to go into strategy recognition pattern. And basically what I talk about is creating a plan, the most common thing that you see. So for example, and this is the throwback, by the way, to our previous Lunch and Learn on investors. There's different type of investors to which you're going to present a different plan. So let's say that you have an investor. Okay, I recognize that he's an investor. Is he an emotional investor? Is he a financial investor? Well, he's an emotional investor. Well, under 500K, I know that I should go to Fort Lauderdale Beach, because this is going to be, he's going to find something that he's going to like. A lot of investors like it. Emotional investor over 500K? Well, I should maybe bring a new construction, Porsche Tower. Well, maybe a little bit over 500K, but let's say the Akoya. What I'm trying to say is that I will give an example when you're talking with an investor and he tells you like, hey, I have less than 500K, but I want to have a secondary home and I don't want to lose money. You can either tell him like, no problem, I'm going to search for it, or you can tell him, I know exactly what you're looking for. I got you. This is some of the transactions that I have done in the past, and here is where we're going to go. Who do you think is more likely to close that client? Second one, because you have a game plan. Now, you cannot have a game plan for every single type of situation in real estate. We are in agreement. There's too many cases. But and actually, here's a few examples of things that happens all the time, that you guys will see all the time. Rental, single, young professional, family moving for school, for the kid, moving towards the kid. They have roommates, right? Those are case scenarios that I am certain you've all seen. Is this sales, first-time homeowners, foreign secondary home? This one actually kind of amazed me because we have a ton of this, and I don't think anybody has a plan for it. Like, how are they going to get their money out of the country? What is the best bank to work with? Who is the best lender? Which building will not be a pain in the ass to get them in without credit score, background check, and so forth? Like, we get a ton of those. We should absolutely have a plan. I think we, as a company, should have a plan for this. But investors and browsers. We've all had browsers, right? People who come in and want to have a nice little ride with us in the car. Well, if this happens, we should have a plan for them. Running a game plan. Well, the game plan starts with mindfulness. If you never stop and think about what are the most common scenario, you will keep on repeating them over and over and over and just reinvent the wheel, hoping for the best. Start, and this is really a practical advice for you guys to apply. Start with the 3 most common profiles you deal with. Like, you know, some of you guys are in the south, some of you guys are in the north, you might have different type of profile, but that's fine. Just work with what are the 2 most common profiles that you deal with. Think about what differentiates them. If you can figure out what differentiates them, you can recognize a pattern faster like that. So you can see, okay, this is the type of client, this is a plan that I'm going to adapt. Have the offering ready for them in advance. Know exactly what you're going to propose to them. Know that, you know, this is the type of client, this is something that already works very well. Get familiar with the environment. So if you, I'm going to take Lucier, for example, that I know he's got a lot of clients lately who've been interested in Airbnb. And I know that he currently found a property in Fort Lauderdale that accepts Airbnbs. Well, I sure goddamn hope that the next time he gets a client that's looking for Airbnb in that budget, he's going to tell him, no worries, I know exactly where we're going to go. This is a place that you want. But to do it even better, if he's had more than two clients there, he should know the HOA. He should already know who the person is. He should know what's the building, where it works. He should know who is the right lender. He should already have built the entire environment. Because if you keep on having the same type of clients, he's so specialized in it that you will close. This is actually how you get your conversion rate at 50%. We had a lady at the company. Unfortunately, she had to move back to the Netherlands, and little called Monique. Monique, she could only do one thing. She could only do rentals and brickles. The reason she could do rentals and brickles is because she knew every single HOA, every single building. Actually, not every single building, only 10. But those 10, she knew like the back of her hand. So she couldn't close anything on the next building, but if anything landed on that 10 building, she inspired so much confidence that she would close every single time. Like her conversion rate on those were like phenomenal. People call this finding your niche. That's what, like, whenever people say, oh, my niche is this or that, this is exactly what they're doing. It's just simply optimizing your way to transact. Because if you already can recognize a client, you already know what is the right kind of property, and you know everything that entails, and you know all of the rules of the game, the amount of time you're going to spend is a fraction of what you do every single time. So if you have the same type of clients and you keep on reinventing the wheel, there's definitely a game plan to be built, and we can help with that for sure. I want to give an example of pattern recognition, and it's Felipe Grinda. Now, it's a shame that he's not here, but I've actually looked over Felipe's stats right before this meeting, and Felipe is doing some serious money. Like, he is racking in a good amount of money. Now, what you may or may not know is that he is doing all of this money on very, very small rentals. I like this example because it's on the rentals that people turn their nose up at. They kind of say that, oh, this is too cheap for me. This is not worth my time. Well, his process is so good that he actually makes a living off of all the rentals that nobody else would want. He takes leads from community buildings that actually refuses those clients. So it's a rental community that refuses the client. He takes them and then he goes and converts them somewhere else. And the only way he can do this is because he knows exactly what's the type of client, he knows exactly where they're going to go, and he doesn't spend any time on it. Just like it's completely transacted super fast. And he's rocking it on something that is actually should theoretically not be possible to be rocking it on. But because he's actually applied his game plan over and over, and he's so good at it that he actually is doing really well. Lucio, I know you're good friends with Felipe. If she didn't know he was doing well, he's doing well. And I love this. Now, am I suggesting you should also get the cheapest possible rentals who also have bad credit scores? No, not necessarily. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is that if you have something that is so efficient, it works for them, build something for your own niche. The obvious game plan, the client follow-up. Every single one of you guys will get a client on the phone, and you will need to follow up. This will happen every single time. You need to have the game plan for this, right? It's going to happen. We all know it, and it's going to happen a lot. Some of our agents already received like 150 clients this year, not this month, this year. Like at least they have done this pattern at least 150 times, right? So time to have a game plan. So welcome call is about finding the client's purpose, but it's also how you recognize a pattern. You figure out which one of those types of client it is. You establish clear next step. You share with confidence what the goal is and what the plan is. You make small purposes, and you create trust. You keep a constant contact to keep the engagement high and top of mind. Makes sense, right? Well, actually, here is exactly how it should go. Kind of like framing it in your mind. And then we're going to move a little bit to the tactics part of this. Step one, welcome call. In your welcome call, you have your introduction, right? Well, your introduction, you should know it from the top of your mind. You should then listen to the purpose, and then you will know the answer is always the same, right? I'm going to send a recommendation. And I'm going to follow up with a call on those recommendations. And I'm going to give you my opinion, and I'm going to try to tell you which one is better and worse and why. And then we're going to have a showing. So then we're going to have a decision. The decision is after each showing. You say, did you like this property or not? If the answer is yes, why did you like this property? Do you want to make an offer? If the answer is no, why did you not like the property? At the end of the day, when you finish with your 5 showings, I'm assuming it's 5, but it could be 3, it could be 5, it should not be more than 5. You go and say, hey, should we make an offer? If the answer is yes, well, make an offer by all means, please. If the answer is no, you go back to your same game plan and you repeat the process. You do it over again. I can promise you it will work. Strategy versus tactics. And what we're going to talk about with tactics, because a welcome call has a lot of moving pieces. For example, what happens if you send a recommendation and you send the recommendation and you have a call scheduled for 4, but then they don't pick up? What do you do then? Well, you should have a game plan for this, and you should probably have tactics to make this faster and more efficient. Strategy is your game plan, tactics is the way you execute it. Actually, that's a nice little, Cyril told me this, actually, maybe 3 years ago. And actually, it stuck by me a lot. If I repeat it 3 times, I automate it. So that's really kind of cool, because that means that if we ever have to do something 3 times, for example, writing a text message text message to organize a showing, if every single time you're typing your name and you're typing your MLS number and you're typing exactly the same thing, well, probably we should automate this. This is about one of the examples of what we're talking about quick tactics to make things better. Put your property on Lockbox. If you can, definitely do this. If we have Lockbox, I think we can sign them off. If you don't have them, like $50 to save so much time. Use canned message for all repeat interaction. Organizing showings, welcome SMS, offer emails. All of those things should be already saved in your signature. It should be saved in your notes that you can copy paste and on and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong. Do they need to feel like they're personal? Yes, absolutely. Can you make it feel personal while having them saved already? Yes, absolutely. Michelle has actually recommended a few agents to us, and they received a very personalized email saying which says, hello, blah, blah, Michelle has introduced us, she's copied in this email, thank you for your interest, and blah, blah, and then there is a whole slew of things. What I wrote was, hi, first name, then I put Michelle, her first name, and everything else was canned. But it looked like a personal email, right? You couldn't tell the difference. But since perhaps you introduced me to more than 2, you might have noticed that they're actually exactly the same email. But they will never notice that it's like they will not compare notes, right? They're 2 different people. And so this is some of the things that you can do when you're preparing an offer. If you didn't know, now you know. You cannot just send an offer that says offers, the MLS number, and put 2 attachments. This doesn't work. It's not a good way to create a relationship with a listing agent who you want him to accept the offer. So you need to write a little spiel. That little spiel can be quite generic with 1 sentence that actually makes a difference. So for example, dear first name of listing agent. Here's an offer for your listing. You can even save full price offer or a little bit below, doesn't matter. But here is an offer. My client is a very good. My clients are very good people. I think they will build a tremendous relationship with the owner, and I think that they're the right people for that property. And then you input a little something that is personalized about them, and then you click send. This should take you no longer than 5, maybe 15 seconds. That's it. But if you have to write this out every single time, you're just wasting time. Program interaction in advance. If you know that you need to send a reminder to your clients, for example, the morning before showings, you can actually set that to be automatic. You can, the time that you do your follow-ups, you will say, hey, at 8 a.m. already send this email or already send this text message. Plenty of tools to do this. Maybe your iPhone already has the capacity to use automated messaging, use efficiency tool, and also work for Home 61. We have a lot of those tools. One of those tools, for example, is the Hello Sign. Creating the contract automatically is one of the things where we repeated the task a few times, like fuck this, then we decided to go and automate it. This is some of the tools that we do, and we keep on building. Build your own, have the one at Home 61, do a mix and match, that's completely fine. Actually, I was showing to Christian earlier the way we do recruitment. I used to have to go into Matrix and have to look at every single person's production before we invite them to join us or not. Well, no longer. Now we have it in the back office. I just type in their name, their production, and all the transactions they've ever done comes out. Because we've done it 3 times, so we need to automatize it. Organization helpers. Now, all of this is nice, it's fine, and probably it's the first day it's easy to implement, but it's very, very hard to keep consistent. You often need help to do it. And there's really 3 ways you can get help to do it, and quite frankly, I recommend to apply all 3 of them. And some of them are provided by Home 61 no matter what. So, good news. Teams, accountability, and tools. Those are what will help you make sure that you are on the ball, that you're doing what you need to do, and achieve your goals and keep on your planning and your schedule. Team. I really like this quote, not so much because of the quote itself, but about who says it. Talent wins game, but teamwork, intelligence wins championship. And it's Michael Jordan who is saying this. Now, Michael Jordan is either the best or one of the 2 best basketball players there ever was. And we can put it for debate. And he was just really, really good, right? Really, really good. And he said that it's teamwork that matters. The best of his generation says that it's teamwork that matters. So perhaps we should listen to what he said. But teams don't necessarily mean all the time. Oh, here we go. Team. First, you need to make a commitment to the team. Just being part of a team without being committed to the team, it doesn't matter. You're not on a team. You're looking at other people, but that's it. Then the teammates need to be able to relate to one another. They need to speak the same. They need to speak the same language. They need to understand each other so that they can work together. Build a simple routine by Idolize. Team meetings, for example, is a very good thing. Team meeting around coffee. Team meeting around donuts. I actually do the team meetings around donuts. We're all kind of like health freaks. We never eat donuts except on the team meeting. Every 2 Tuesdays, we have a team meeting with everybody from the office, and we have donuts, we have coffee, we have our little flag that says our name, and it's ritualized. And it's ritualized because this is how it becomes a routine. How it works. And then let social pressure do the rest. Now, I was looking for a positive note about social pressure, and it all came out with like some really fucked up quotes. So, but here's what happened. If you've made a commitment, if you commitment to your team, you care about them, you're actually going to work, and you're actually going to do what you say, because you don't want to be the one who doesn't do the work. You don't want to be the one behind. So actually, if the team does a commitment, it actually pushes everybody forward. So team can be formalized. the Moon team, the Processa team, but it can also be formal. You can build your own. A lot of people have done this in real estate. In real estate, no problem. The key here is the consistency and the kinship. The other thing is accountability. Accountability is a glue. Yeah, sure, whatever. What accountability is the only way to make it. I don't know how to make it work otherwise. Without it, you just won't reach your goal. Like, it's too easy to go do something else than what you really need to do. Right? Life gets in the way. There's a lot of other pressure, etc. Accountability can be done by anyone but you. If you're accountable only to you, then you're not accountable. You're just doing whatever the fuck you want. It's really, really, really difficult to be your own, being accountable. You can make it your husband, your wife. It can be me. It can be a colleague. It doesn't really matter, but it needs to be somebody you respect, and it needs to be enforced. It needs to be a consequence. Sometimes the consequence doesn't even need to be a financial consequence, although not doing what's needed has a huge amount of opportunity cost, but it can also be a real physical consequence. One that I love is that if you don't achieve your goal, it will automatically donate money to a candidate, a presidential candidate you don't like. That's a great one. And what I love right now is that there's a lot of people that really don't like other people, and that's fantastic. Like you have the Trump, you have the Biden, you have the Sanders. I don't care whoever you don't like. Every time you don't do what you're supposed to do, you give them $5 and see how bad that feels. That needs to have a real consequence. That's a great one right there. And the frequency has to be important. So frequency, if you're accountable to yourself once a year, what? You're not accountable. It's going to be your yearly. It's like the New Year's resolution, right? They last only for like 3 months because you're no accountability to it, right? If you don't, you check them once a year and you don't accomplish them, there is no consequence. You need to do them at least once a month. Hey, why do you think we have our one-on-ones once a month? Help you with accountability. Important for us, of course, but it's also to help you with accountability. And I actually hope that throughout the presentation, you see that a lot of the things that we put in place is actually to help you with the time management and help you have the accountability and so forth. It's absolutely built for this. Accountability can be big, it can be small. I do it once a week. At the end of my week, I look if I've achieved the goal that I set to do. That's the kind of way I do the accountability. But it's also why I have the advisor on Friday, is because the first thing we talk about is how are we doing on the first things. Because if I was just accountable to myself, it'd be very hard to manage it. Now I have an advisor that costs way too much money for what I would like, and so with the 1 hour we have, we're going to make sure that it works, and we always start with we do what we had to do. And then there is tools. So that's a great thing, that there is a gazillion tools. There's a gazillion tools about time efficiency, time optimization, and so forth. By the way, I completely cheated. I just gave the one that I use. I use Trello to follow up on big issues and on tech. I use Momentum for my checklist. This is how I put my task on a daily basis and my 3 top goals of the week. I use Habitify to do the thing that I don't like to do. Habitify are like, for example, I need to read 10 pages of the goddamn book that I don't like, but it still has a lot of information on a daily basis. And I use it to also eat my diet and my diet only. I'm very good at eating the diet. I'm very good at also eating the chips that are right over there. So I use Habitify. I use Calendly. I think all of you guys know that I use Calendly. Makes my life so much easier. I use my Google Calendar, also has a lot of different things. And I use my Outlook signatures. All of my automated emails that I send are actually signatures. So what I do is that I scroll down, I say signature, recruitment step 1, and it goes, and then I go recruitment step 2, and then I go team leader candidate, and basically everything is already ready, and I don't have to rewrite it. Some of those emails are like 300 words long. They're long emails. I'm not going to write them every single time, or I'm going to do a mistake. Those are some of the tools. There is a million. There's Basecamp. There is a million tools out there. It doesn't matter which one you do. And I didn't mention also the back office, which has a lot of tools also. But find whichever tool helps you and works for you. That's fine. Template for L agents. So I know that a lot of this is conceptualized. So I wanted to build an easy template for you guys that you can just simply connect to, and then it will work. Now, don't get me wrong, I couldn't build a template that works with your family, your situation. If you have other things that you do. I just account it as if you were working 40 hours a week, or a little bit more every week. That's kind of how I did it. And switch to a desktop that's actually not my desktop. I just realized, and try to open and try to. So a little technical. You guys don't know, we're going to role play in a little bit. I'm sorry to have spoiled it. Oh. All right. All right. Cool. So it always starts on Sunday. For me, I was brought up thinking that Monday was always the first day of the week, but apparently a lot of countries said that Sunday is the first day of the week. In this calendar, apparently it is Sunday, but I typically start my week on Monday, so that's how I build it. Monday, weekly planning, around a coffee. I built this agenda starting from 8 a.m., but if you start at 7, please move everything up 1 hour thing. This is just a template. Weekly planning. You start Monday. What are the 3 things that I'm going to achieve what are the 3 things I'm going to achieve that day? What are the few things I'm going to accomplish that very same Monday? Lead generation. Now, one lead gen, I'm not, because this is built out of a template that existed also before Home 61 existed. So I don't mean look at 3 hours your phone and be ready to press Y for 3 hours. This is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is build your own network, become a better agent, build your channels, make sure that you prospect. If you're good at networking, that's the time that you go and reach out to sell it networking events. If you're good at door knocking, that's a good time to plan your networking, make sure you have everything ready. You basically build your channels. It's a great time to do lead gen. Then lunch, or move your lunch here. I don't care. Just plan a time to have a break. It's unrealistic to think that you're going to be working 100% of the time, all the time, nonstop. If you do this, it will work one day and then you'll quit the next day. Then batch your follow-up, your email, your social media, all of the things that you want to do. During that time, you can still get leads. You're in front of your computer. Make sure that you when you're batching on a particular subject, focus on it, but still get leads. Then I wrote sample event. It didn't work out, but it basically means showings. This is a great time to do showings. Now, you're wrong. You're gonna tell me, oh, but clients, I work on the client's agenda and not on my agenda, so we need to do showings whenever they want to do showings. Well, okay, fair enough. But the best way to make sure that you're showing at this time is to propose that time. Is whenever you're saying like, hey, would you be available to do showings tomorrow from 3 to 6? And by simply the simple effect of proposing it on your schedule, first of all, show that you're taking the leads, but the likelihood that they're going to say yes, because on top of that, it works after their work hour or later in the day for their work hours, very high chance for them to say yes. So simply proposing this fact will enable. Now you're telling me, like, there's $1 million buyer that you think is really solid and he can only do the showing at a certain time. Should you do it? Yes, obviously, but the idea is to keep the maximum amount of control over your agenda. And at the end of the day, task for the new day. Just finish the day like, hey, did I do the task for today? If not, keep on going. And if you have done the task for the day, then what are the tasks for tomorrow? Be mindful about it. Now we're going to get to my favorite part. Training. Training is every day. Not a lot of time, it's just an hour, but it's every day. It's going over what are the plans, what are the tactics, what are the script, what are the things that has worked, what are the things that are not working. It's about the mindfulness of it. Like the biggest part, if you take anything away from today, is that in the morning you start and you stop and you just think about what can I do better. Just ask yourself this question. If you can walk away from this presentation and having 5 minutes in the morning and say, what can I do better? Become a better agent, how can I influence it? I would have won. This is it. I will win. This will have been all of this worth it. Spend 1 hour, you think about it, you write it down. What are the patterns? What are the things that you can do better? And then you actively train on it. Whether it is role playing, whether it is on working on a script, whether it is recognizing a game plan, whether it is figuring out that maybe for that investor you should really know what properties are available there. Whatever it is, lead gen, building a network, and so forth. Here, because it's Home 61, I put the lunch and learn already. You block your time for the lunch and learn, very important. I mean, I know you are all having a great time right now doing this. And then showings. Few things I want to point out, because of course it's a lot of copy-paste, is the day where you will have the most showings, statistically, Saturday. So Saturday you must be on your clients are going to want to do. The day where you're going to have the least showing, number one, is Monday. So probably this time might be very free, because if this time is free, you have really three options. The first one, accomplish everything you wanted to accomplish for the day, pat yourself on the back, and you buy yourself an ice cream. Deserved it. Congratulations. The second part is keep on working on whatever task you might not have accomplished. But if you have time and you're like, okay, I did not do my end of the day ritual and I want to keep on working, you just simply lead gen. Just lead gen. And also that might be a good time to do a lot of things that you might not have an occasion to do before, such as going to open house, going to a mixer, going to places. Typically, you know in advance if you're going to be open at that time or not, right? Very rarely does showing happen this afternoon. Open house. If you have a listing that lets you do an open house, do an open house. It's an amazing way to get more clients. Otherwise, showings. And at the end of the day, on Saturday, do a week review. Stop again for 5 minutes. Look at the 3 priorities that you've had that week and decide, did I accomplish those 3 priorities? And if you did, ice cream time. Do a little ritual, do something that's nice for you, whatever it is that you like, and celebrate that you've done a good week's work, and move on and be ready. Now, I didn't put anything for Sunday. The reason I didn't put anything for Sunday, knowing full well that sometimes you have showings, so that statistically, the second day where you will have the least amount of showings is Sunday. Typically, it's a day that is where people want to spend time with their family. Perhaps you do too, but clients want to see spend time with their family. So if you have showings, they typically happen in the morning. If, for whatever reason, your reality, you have Friday that is not that busy, but Sunday is always very busy, take Friday off. Make sure that you have one day when you're not actually working. Because I would much rather you work really, really hard for 6 days or really, really hard for 5 days than working half-assed for 7. Because you're going to be exhausted, you're going to be tired, you're going to be frustrated, it's not going to be moving, it's not going to be forward. So make sure that you plan for breaks. And I know I'm saying we need to work a lot and do a lot of things, but actually plan for breaks. We're humans, right? We need to have breaks, we need to have fun, we need to do things. The more you plan for it, the better it is. I did not put here a few things that we should definitely do. For example, time blocking. From time to time, you will need to do a listing presentation, right? To prepare for a bidding, you need to do an investor presentation, etc. Then pick a time, probably right around there, between the end of your batch and some of the showings, and block that time. Whenever you're focusing on one of those times, don't have your phone on, don't talk without, don't interact, don't take new leads. Just focus, just do it. You'll be very happy when it's done, and then you can turn on your phone and start as usual. Is there any question on this? Or anything where you'd be like, oh shit, this is going to be very challenging based on the reality that, leads or clients and on and so forth. I plan on Friday night, but you might have two challenges that might not be a reality. You might get new clients maybe the weekend that might mess up your agenda. And I have no problem with you planning on Sunday, but you definitely should have one day off, one day where you just and that day can be Saturday. Also, I don't recommend it because definitely the day where you have the most showings. But you should have one day off. And so my only message here is like plan the day before. If you want, you can plan it on Saturday. If Sunday is your day off, it's your day off. It's like it's a day where like unless prices something for you. Any other questions? Any other doubts? Anything?
Ideal hours.
Yeah.
Should be.
Well, you know, you can
Top
definitely
agents.
you can definitely do more because this is not 60 hours. This is it's a 8 to 5. It's a 8 to 5.
67.
Yeah, it's around there. But the reality is, a lot of those don't take that long. For example, the week planning, I set up 1 hour. The week planning typically solid 15 minutes. If you're doing it less, probably you didn't think too hard about your priorities for the week. But 15 out an hour, like rarely does it take. The reason I take an hour is because I have my little ritual, right? I'm coffee, stop, and I'm gonna take my time before everything. Because when it starts, I know it's gonna happen. That's okay. It's part of my job. So you definitely have some gaps if you will on this, but I cannot plan for the gaps. Otherwise, any other question? Here's a few things in the presentation that I also want to. Other routine activities that you can do, but like you cannot plan because they're not your agendas or other people. But you definitely should think about adding them regularly in your schedule, networking event, broker open house, mixers, and read real estate news, catching up with the news. Thank you very much, Alan, for sharing that the interest rate had fallen down because, quite frankly, I didn't know. But then you did it. I just didn't have enough time to read the news, and so he knew before us, so he shared. That was really, really cool. But this is also, whenever you have a time free, read about your trade, read about real estate, right? So this is kind of the thing. I wish I had a fantastic ender to this quite long presentation that would go and like suddenly everything works. I really don't, because the only thing I can tell you is like, well, this is absolutely important. This is absolutely, particularly the less structure you have, the more you need this. We can help here at Home 61. This is basically what we do. We have dominated that subject. The team leaders are awesome at it. We're pretty good here. We teach this, we help this, we can help you. However, what we cannot do is impose it on you. Yeah, right? Then and that, you guys are agents. We cannot force you to do something. We can guide you in the right direction. We can, say like, hey, we need to have a one-on-one and but here's what I can tell you. If you want help, you will get it. If you want us to set this up with you, if you want to be able to do this, your eyes closed, and you need a hand, we're here. We will do it. We'll give you the right tools, the right direction. We will do it with you. So the only thing for which it depends for it to work for you is just you, and that's kind of the entire reality, right? For this to work, it will depend on you. We're here. We'll help. This is what we're all about. Now it's all falls on you. That's kind of the only thing. And now I have the role play to do. But the first thing is I want to thank you all for coming. I've met with a bunch of you guys who told me that last week that they were coming. I did not necessarily follow up with you guys, although I know that Carlos and Cameron did a fantastic job really talking about the event. Thank you for following through. That's one of the big part of time management is following through on your commitment. I see that basically the people who are here are either people who perform really well or who are going to perform very well. So I'm glad that you're here. Very, very happy to have been able to do this presentation for you, and I hope that you take a lot of it with you. All right, thank you guys.